Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Davina Pillay. I'm an HR generalist at HR Talk Outsourcing, and today I will be hosting this webinar, an intro into job hunting and what you need to know. I will be taking questions at the end of this webinar, so please feel free to ask me at the end, as well as this presentation will be shared once this webinar is over. Okay. Okay, this presentation covers the following sections. Section A, how should you handle your affairs and money after being retrenched? Section B, the CV. Section C, applying for jobs. Section D, candidacy. Section E, the interview. And Section F, once you get the job. So how should you handle your affairs and money after being retrenched? Okay. A severance package is compensation paid to an employee after the employee's employment is over. A severance package is usually calculated at 1 week for every year service. Okay, there is a big problem with this because many people receive and hastily spend their severance package without considering the implications of spending it. If you spend your severance package, you will not be able to stay afloat during the period in which you will be searching for a job. Here are some financial tips when you receive your severance package. Don't spend your severance package. Try put it aside to carry you through the months you may be unemployed. It is important to apply for your UIF benefits. Check if you have any retrenchment cover to cover your debt or monthly repayments. You can usually check this with your bank. Contact your creditors to inform them of your retrenchment. You may be able to apply for a payment holiday. Inform your family or friends so that they understand your financial situation. And it's also important to create a budget and stick to it. Budgets. So here are some of the things to consider when you are budgeting. Your monthly living expenses. One has to know how much their life costs on a monthly basis. Doing a budget helps you to know how much your life needs on a monthly basis in order for you to calculate the amount needed against your retrenchment package and to determine how long you have until your coffers run dry. Talent pool extending job hunting time. So when calculating how long your retrenchment package will last, keep in mind that the fact that the job hunting period has drastically been extended due to other companies retrenching and companies being reluctant to hire due to the COVID crisis. So if it would have taken you a year to find a new job, it is suggested that you consider the possibility that it can take up to 2 years to find a new job. Now, as there is a larger talent pool companies can choose from. You also need to budget the money needed to apply for a new job. Applying for a new job needs money and you need to budget for such monies on your retrenchment package. As you do not know how many jobs you will be applying for, how many interviews you will be attending, and the transport for such, how many CVs you will need to print, and how much data you will need to apply. Please budget a high amount for this. Below are the items you should consider and plan for in your budget. Internet. Most jobs are advertised on the internet nowadays, and in order to access them, you will need data. Therefore, you need to budget for this. Posting and faxing. Other jobs, such as government jobs, still need one to either fax or post their CV. Faxing and posting need money, and if you do not have a budget for it, you will not be able to apply to your fullest capacity, therefore limiting your chances of getting a job. Printing. Even if you will be applying using the internet, you will still need to print and certify your educational qualifications, and that needs money. If you are going to fax or post your job applications, then you will need to have money to do that. A tip here to save a bit on costs is print your CV and perhaps go to your local library and make copies of your CV. This will save you quite a bit. Academic records. Some jobs need you to have an updated or recent academic record. In order to attain such, you also need money as they vary in prices per institution. Transport. As you do not know how many interviews you need to attend in order to get a job, You are to budget a lot of money for transport because you will need to travel even out of town in order to attend an interview. Once you get the job, please remember that you will have to pay for your own transport for the first month, as well as your lunch. Clothes. Some companies require candidates to arrive wearing a specific dress code, and if you want to impress them during your interview, you will need to dress accordingly. This means that you may have to buy certain clothing and even update your wardrobe if you do not have such formal clothing. Okay, how to calculate the above against your severance. It is wise to not spend your severance package on anything that you do not need and to keep a considerable amount of money for the above purposes. Make room for miscellaneous factors that influence these calculations, such as family, school needs, and medical expenses. As we all have responsibilities and families, we cannot predict the future. Therefore, it is wise to keep money aside for unseen expenses, such as kids' school fund days, family events, and medical expenses. What you need to do as soon as possible. Start looking for a job. Hit the ground running. Start applying for a new job as soon as possible. This will help you to save as much money as you can and it will cause less strain on your affairs. Okay, there are a few job options available, such as volunteering. You can volunteer in an organization that needs your skill in hopes for the company to hire you in future. Fixed term contracts. In situations where companies have positions open for a limited amount of time, you can apply in order to help your financial situation and experience. Section B, the CV. A curriculum vitae is a brief account of a person's education, qualifications, and previous occupations, typically sent with a job application. There is no universally accepted way of writing a CV, and it should at least cover the below. Your details include your name, address, phone number, and email address so any interested employers can contact you easily. Information such as nationality, age, and driving license status are optional. Personal statement. One paragraph that immediately captures the attention of your readers and entices them to find out more about you. Be careful not to cram too much in. Instead, take your main skill and relate it to the job you're after to show employers why you meet their needs. Work experience. List your most recent position first, continuing in reverse chronological order, including the name, location, website, and dates of your employment for each company you have worked for. Aim to use bullet points wherever possible to highlight your responsibilities and achievements in each role so the person scanning your CV can quickly match up your experience with the job description. Education. Again, in reverse chronological order, give brief details of your academic and professional qualifications along with the grades you achieved. If you're looking for your first job since leaving your education or secondary school, include this information about any work experience. Skills. Whether you realize it or not, you'll have picked up many skills over the years, some tangible, some less so. Include every IT package or program you have used, as well as any foreign language skills you have gained, and state whether you're at a basic, intermediate, or advanced level. Skills such as communication and project management are harder to substantiate and should be backed up with examples. Hobbies and interests. Including these is optional and often used to fill up space at the end of the document. The idea is to give the interviewer a more rounded picture and perhaps something more personal to discuss at the interview. References. You will need to choose references that you're confident will give positive remarks, but should also make sure that they would be easily contactable by potential employers when the time comes. If you include numbers that do not exist, you will seem less credible. The cover letter. Your CV should have a cover letter as employers usually determine your writing skills and your ability to portray your skills through it. The format of your CV. Remember to always keep it short, direct, and on an A4. It should be clear to anyone reading your CV where to find the information they're looking for, with enough white space to ensure that they are not overawed at first glance. What to leave out of your CV. Leave out anything that is not professional. Example, being the beer pong champion at Joe's pub. That is something your potential employer does not want to know. If you have left school more than 5 years previously, exclude school accolades such as chess team captain or award for 100% attendance. How to make your CV more attractive and stand out from the rest. Start with a summary of your skills and key accomplishments. This will attract the recruiter and grab their attention from the outset. Emphasize results rather than responsibilities. Customize the CV for the job you want. Highlight your career goals. Demonstrate that you are connected and show you have industry insight. Things that make your CV look unappealing. Resist the urge to jazz your CV up with images and color. Steer clear of long paragraphs. Carefully use bold can be effective, but do not overdo it. Underlining should only be reserved for website links. Use typefaces or fonts like Times New Roman or Arial. They're much easier to read. Avoid using font size smaller than 11. You do not want your potential employer to be straining their eyes to read it. Don't use text speak, which is WhatsApp language or anything like that, and only use abbreviations if they are universally known. Referrals. Depending on company policy, it can be your immediate manager or the human resources department. If you can make your immediate manager your reference, inform them that you'll be using the details in your CV and gain their approval for such information being used. The last thing you want is for your reference to be caught off guard. Certified supporting documents. Always certify your supporting documents to assure your potential employer that your documents are legitimate. Supporting documents are certified for each and every qualification or skill you mentioned in your CV. Social media. Potential employers look at your social media in order to determine the type of person you are. Please avoid posting things that may lead you to being perceived as inappropriate. Check your social media posts from the past and delete anything that may be inappropriate. Section C, applying for jobs. So there are various platforms you can apply for jobs, such as company websites, online recruitment websites, newspapers, and now even Facebook. Company websites. You may need to register to log into the website. After so, you would need to complete and upload your CV in order for you to successfully apply for open positions the institution may have. Online recruitment websites. You may also need to register to log into their website. After so, you would need to complete and upload your CV in order for you to successfully apply for open positions the website may advertise. This is a warning. There are scammers out there. There are scammers that require applicants to send money in order to be considered for positions. Please note, legitimate jobs do not need people to pay in order to be considered for a job. Please be wary of this when you are applying. Section D, candidacy. If you have applied for a job and a company calls you for an interview, there is information that you need to confirm with them. So when you finally get that call, make sure you confirm the time of your interview, the date of your interview, the place where the interview will take place. Make sure you know the street, the building, and the boardroom where the interview will take place, because in many big buildings, there are various boardrooms and you do not want to get lost. Make sure you find out the dress code, the documentation to bring, as some companies may require you to bring your original certificates for authentication. Website. Ask the company's website in order for you to do your research on the company before attending an interview with its representatives. This will help you prepare for any tricky questions. Preparing for your interview. It is important that you research the company. Do thorough research about the company in order for you to perceive the type of environment you might encounter when you get to the company. Google Maps the company so you would know how far the company is from where you live. Check the company's About page on their website to know more about it. Check the company's reviews on Google in order for you to know what people think about the company. It is important to coordinate your transport arrangements so you get there on time. If you are using taxis, if you'll be using taxis to get there, know that taxis have to take in order to get there. Know how long it will take in order to get there. Know the ranks and their waiting times if you have to go to the interviews using multiple taxis that are in different taxi ranks. If you are using your car, make sure that your car will not give you any problems. Make sure on the way to the interview. Check for routes with less traffic in order to decrease your chances of being stuck in a traffic jam or accident. Roadworks. On the night before the interview and on the day of the interview, check if there will be any roadworks on the way to the interview in order for you to leave early and use alternative routes. When to arrive on the day of the interview. Do not arrive too early and do not arrive late at all. The perfect time to arrive for an interview is 15 minutes prior to your starting time. In such a way, you can read the atmosphere and prepare yourself for the interview. If you are running late, please call and let them know. What to wear for your interview. Formal. In an interview requiring you to be formal, do not go overboard with your formal wear. Keep it simple and do not dress ostentatiously. Smart casual. When the interview is smart casual, do not wear shorts or a v-neck t-shirt. A chino and a golf t-shirt are acceptable. Tackies and sneakers are not acceptable. Section E, the interview. So, how to present yourself during the interview. Here are the basics. Be confident but not cocky. Answer the questions and wait for them to engage until you are asked to engage. Respond formally, do not use slang. Show that you know the job. Refrain from giving personal opinions unless asked. And when asked, be generic in your answer. Maintain eye contact. Remember, you're not there to be liked. You're there to show that you can do the job. Here are words not to say. Do not use slang. Do not swear. Do not use socially inappropriate phrases that may be racial, ethnical, or discriminatory in nature. Okay, so here are some important and frequently asked questions in an interview. Tell me about yourself. This is probably the most asked and terrifying question. Okay, so here's a tip on how to answer that. Your interviewers will most likely start out with a question about yourself and your background to get to know you. Start out by giving them an overview of your current position or activities. Then provide them with the most important and relevant highlights from your background that make you most qualified for the role. When they ask you, how would you describe yourself? When an interview asks you about yourself, they're looking for information about how your qualities and characteristics align with the skills they believe are required to succeed in the role. If possible, include quantifiable results to demonstrate how you use your best attributes to drive success. What makes you unique? Employers often ask this question to identify why you might be more qualified than other candidates they're interviewing. To answer, focus on why hiring you would benefit the employer. Since you do not know the other applicants, it can be challenging to think about your answer in relation to them. Addressing why your background makes you a good fit will let employers know why your traits and qualifications make you well prepared. When an interviewer asks, "Why do you want to work here?" interviewers often ask this question as a way to determine whether or not you took the time to research the company and to learn why you see yourself as a good fit. The best way to prepare for this question is to do your homework and learn about the products, services, mission, history, and culture of this workplace. In your answer, mention the aspects of the company that appeals to you and align with your career goals. Explain why you're looking for these things in an employer. What are your greatest strengths? This question gives you an opportunity to talk about both your technical and soft skills. To answer, share qualities and personal attributes and then relate them back to the role for which you're interviewing. What are your greatest weaknesses? It can often feel awkward to discuss your weaknesses in an environment where you are expected to focus on your accomplishments. However, when answered correctly, sharing your weaknesses can actually show that you are self aware and want to continuously get better at your job, traits that are extremely attractive to many employers. Remember to start with the weakness and then discuss the measures you've taken to improve this. This way, you're finishing your answer on a positive note. Can you tell me about a difficult work situation and how you overcame it? This question is often used to assess how well you perform under pressure, as well as your problem solving abilities. Keep in mind stories that are memorable than facts and figures. So strive to show instead of tell. This is also an excellent opportunity to show your human side and how you're willing to go the extra mile without being asked. So, what is your salary expectation? Interviewers ask this question to make sure your expectations are in line with the amount they've budgeted for the role. If you give a salary range exceedingly lower or higher than the market value of the position, it gives the impression that you do not know your worth. Research the typical compensation range for the role on Indeed salaries and tend towards the higher side of your range. Be sure to let the hiring manager know if you're flexible with your rate. Why should we hire you? While this question may seem like an intimidation tactic, interviewers generally bring this up to offer you another opportunity to explain why you're the best candidate. Your answer should address the skills and experience you offer and why you're a good culture fit. Usually at the end of the interview, the interviewer will ask, "Do you have any questions?" This might be one of the most important questions asked during the interview process because it allows you to explore any subject that hasn't been addressed and shows the interviewer that you're excited about the role. By this point, you're likely to have already covered most of the basics about the position and the company. So take time to ask the interviewer questions about their own experience with the company and gain tips on how you can succeed if hired. How to set yourself apart in the interview. Don't make the interviewer dig for answers. Make sure that you explain what you need as best as you can. That shows depth of knowledge. Leave the generic responses at home. Great candidates usually have a unique point of view and thoughtful answers to questions asked. Don't be afraid to gather your thoughts in front of the interviewer before responding to a question, rather than rushing to give the generic answer that the interviewer has probably heard 100 times. Quantify your value. If you have numbers to back up your experience, use them. Whether it's money saved or earned for a company, time saving efficiencies you have introduced, or other quantifiable successes, be sure to articulate them during the interview process. Show that you can take initiative. Effectively communicate that you're the type of employee who takes initiative. Even at the entry level, companies hire individuals who will evolve into leaders. Convey this during the interview by providing an example of a project where you self started or went above and beyond. So, the waiting period after an interview, it is usually 2 weeks. After that, move on. Section F, once you get the job. Once you get the job, you need to mind your finances. The first month is the hardest as you will need to have budgeted for transport and lunch without knowing how far the job is from where you stay. Clothing. You might need a new wardrobe because different companies have different uniforms or clothing preferences. Company culture. Take the first month to analyze and get used to the company culture. Every company, just as every household, has its own implicit and explicit rules, and you will have to follow them. Take time to learn them first. Trial and error or imposing yourself on others leads you to being jobless after probation due to many errors. The working environment is a delicate balance that kicks out whoever threatens it. Okay, we've reached the end of our webinar. Do we have any questions? Hmm? Okay, we'll just wait a minute or two. If there are any questions, please feel free. Okay, it looks like we have no questions. Okay, thank you everybody. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Okay, bye-bye.